מזמור לדוד. נפשי שובב יענכני ומגלי צדק למען שמו. עם כי אלק וגיא מוות לא ידע רע כי אתה בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ידפוני כל ימי חיי ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm, a Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters, revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm. Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you so much to all of you for coming out. Thank you to all of you on the internet for tuning in this morning. My name is Rabah Emes from Congregation Chesed, and it's my great honor to be here leading the funeral services for Evelyn Gurvey of blessed memory, the sister of MINYAN, the wife of the late Evelyn Gurvey, blessed memory, the mother of Martin and Brenda Gurvey, Gayla Schwartz and Ken, Alan Gurvey, father of Asher, Maya, Max, Madison, Benson, and Oliver. Evelyn passed away on Thursday, May 18th, peacefully. At the age of 91, just 2.5 weeks short, and we were created as receivers of God's blessings. But at the same time, we are image of God, and our goal lies in developing God-like values. Extreme to achieve. It's something that Evelyn Gurvey, morality, unconditional love, unwavering support, and never-ending optimism. Always seeing the best on people. The gift of yourself, the gift of your time, the gift of your talents. She volunteered at the WEN sector. She helped delivering Meals on Wheels, picking up people to bring them to and from events, coordinating schedules, being sure the lectures went smoothly. She also volunteered at the National Council of Jewish Women. Today we are lucky that some members in this world. So to begin the process, to eulogize Evelyn, I would like to invite
18 years ago, when my dad passed away, guide you through your words when you speak. Well, Mom, I need you now to help me and guide me through this, because you know how hard this is for me. I had such a special relationship, and above all, to care about others by doing little acts of thoughtfulness. There weren't any neighbors on Elm Street who didn't get a fresh marble cake when they moved in. Support, unconditional love, and marble cakes, cheesecakes, torts, and shortbread cookies. Growing up, I can still remember coming home from school only to smell fresh baking or oven-fried chicken or roasted potatoes or her famous meatballs. There was always an amazing smell that made me so happy. It was New Year's Eve, and I had had a little too much to drink. My friends sent me home in a cab. The next day, a little hungover, I called my parents to wish them a Happy New Year, and I told them about what had happened the night before. Somehow, it made me feel so good to know that my mom wasn't judging me or criticizing me, just lovingly making light of a situation that within the grand scheme of things just wasn't that important. My mom was a master with words and philosophical sayings. When I was upset and taking things too much to heart, which I have a history of, she would always say, "There will always be an England." She would explain that whatever happened, it just wasn't that big a deal, because there would always, don't be silly. Daddy and I have always been so proud of you for what you've become and how you have always been so independent. In LA and the trips to Las Vegas for anything in the world. Yes, my philosophy degree was genetic. My mom was philosophical in almost everything she said. She was so quick-witted. She had a saying for almost everything, and they were always take one day at a time. She was my greatest fan of my radio show, listening to every show from the show's inception 10 years ago until the Kasem, who loved my mom so much, wanted to get her a date. Breathing. My mom shared the mic with some legal luminaries, including people like Alan Dershowitz, Lisa Bloom, and constitutional law expert Erwin Chemerinsky. She held her own with all of the scholars just because she had this knack for cutting through to the show the following. I was very touched by your wonderful mother's words. What a doting, loving personification of the consummate Jewish mother. As much as my mom loved her expressions and words of encouragement, she also loved meeting her passion, and general comic relief was her nature. She loved to travel. She enjoyed so many years of traveling with my dad, as she would always say, within a couple of months from the Port of Los Angeles. Yes, all by herself. Nancy and I and our kids were lucky enough to travel with my mom on a number of occasions. I remember the Broadway cruise where she performed on stage excerpts from the music. She is my idol. I can only wish I could do the things that she does at her age. On that cruise, she had no problem cozying up to Broadway star Audra McDonald, named Gel Brito, a Brazilian hunk. She started rehearsing with him in the afternoons in an outdoor wedding and dancing up a storm. I said to my mom, "Do you want to come to the beach?" She looked at me and said, "I'm dancing with Gel." They won the competition. When my mom was 80 years old, I took her, was that I snuck around spying on them for the whole night. At about 1:30 in the morning, I saw him starting to walk her back to her cabin. My heart was pounding. What was I to do? Jump out from behind the plant and say, "What are your intentions, officer?" fortunately in the cruise ship choir or making new friends in the casino. I remember when I was working on a cruise ship in Alaska, my mom and dad came on the cruise, and they were invited to sit at the captain's table. Well, of course, she became best friends with the captain, and he kept inviting them back to sit at his table night after night. Growing up, I remember my mom got up in the wee hours to take me to my hockey practices. She would always drive me to football or baseball or wherever I was going. She just loved watching Martin, Gayla, and I playing our sports and performing in school musicals. A memory that is forever etched in my psyche and that I still have an indelible, vivid picture of in my mind occurred on a number of occasions when I was getting up early to catch an early morning flight to go back to college. She was rearranging things. She would get up before I did, only to be stuffing all of these foil-wrapped foods, labeled, of course, with masking tape, into little nooks and crannies in the bag. She could always get one more package of Kugel, cheese muffins, cheese pies, twisters, marble cake, shortbread cookies, her famous heart-shaped Valentine's have. Be engaging, be on time, always get back to people right away, follow through with what you start, don't accept defeat easily, persevere, treat people with respect, be down to earth, or what she would say is Hamish, and importantly, do the things that you don't necessarily want to do so you will develop discipline. She to get home. She never complained. One night, she was driving home when her car broke down. Yes, it was 30 below zero, and she was waiting on the street for a tow truck to come. A man stopped and saw her there and said, "Would you like to come into my car to stay warm while you're waiting?" She looked at him and said, "No, I'm good, thank you." My mom was a champion of great care of my Zeta Jaime, my Baba Miral, and my dad as they got into their later years. My parents loved opera, symphony, theater, art, and sports. I am so thankful that my mom passed on her interest to her children, exposing us at a young age to music and the arts, and being a shining example of how to appreciate the finer things in life. I would be remiss if I didn't family how well she did on Jeopardy and how she could solve the puzzles on Wheel of Fortune before everyone else. My mom was so dedicated to Jewish tradition and loved singing traditional Jewish songs and prayers. She also loved explaining to me meanings of Yiddish phrases. I can still picture the way her face contorted when I asked her what a phrase in Yiddish meant. She wanted to explain it in the most accurate terms, but sometimes it just didn't translate. My dad, who was on his way home from work, always thinking of him, just as she always put Martin, Gayla, and I. Her dedication to and her love for her children continued to grow strong with her 10 grandchildren, who she adored. Recently, with 6 great-grandchildren, she had new opportunities to sing. Her will not continue to experience their Baba's loving, caring, thoughtfulness, unconditional support, passion, unrelenting determination, and the rest of our Canadian family. Last August, Hudson and Harper were having a blast with their Baba in Niagara Falls, laughing and smiling in the rain, singing "You Gotta Have Heart" at the musical Damn Yankees, and in Toronto at a picnic, playing baseball and softball in the park with her. You should have seen my mom throw. Well, Hudson and Harper, now Baba will live even closer to you because she will be in your, as you always said to me when I was leaving, go careful. I love you forever. As the eldest, I've known my mom for 65 years, and I'm so thankful she had the chance to be such an important part of my and my family's life in Winnipeg and then Toronto. We shared every experience and milestone right from the birth of my siblings to our move to Toronto and beyond. It gave Mom so much pleasure. Grandfather was a cantor, and my mother, her sister, and cousins all inherited this gift, which was passed down to their children. My mom and dad loved classical music and opera and used to go regularly to Minneapolis to hear the Metropolitan Opera. She and my dad were season ticket holders of the Winnipeg Symphony. This was not easy for an 81-year-old, but she tried to make the best of it. She was able to drive her car up and down Bathurst Street and attended Zumba classes for a couple of years at the JCC. Again, music helped her out of some of her loneliness and great-grandkids almost flawlessly. She lit up at any chance to play piano duets and sing with her great-grandchildren. Her number one hit was Rabah, Black Sheep. And the memory of her singing with her youngest grandchild, Madison, who's here with us today, 8 days ago from her hospital bed, will remain etched in my memory forever. My mom and dad also loved sports, and particularly attending Winnipeg Blue Bomber games. I used to marvel at how Mom would come with me to Bomber games in October when it was freezing outside and never complain about being cold. Mom was maintaining her Jewish identity and doing her best to pass it on to her children and grandchildren. Jewish holidays were always a special time for us. Again, after Dad passed away, going to synagogue Saturday mornings was a chance for her to reflect and seek comfort with the regulars at Chesed and later generation. The matriarch of our family can rest in peace, knowing that her legacy is well served with her 3 children, 10 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren, with a 7th arriving in a couple of months. There is one thing that any of us that have grandchildren or great-grandchildren can count on. That is to bring a smile to our face no matter how sad we may be. Our eldest grandchild, Asher, burst into our home after Mom passed away and ran up to me saying, "Zeta, did you hear Baba Evelyn died?" He then went to his cousin Max, and after confirming that he had heard the news, explained to him that she was up in the clouds with Zeta Harry. Yes, the legacy of my mother will live on. Mom, you can rest with the satisfaction that you had a long life well lived.
Grandmother.
After a full life of nearly 92 years, today we're saying goodbye to the matriarch of our family, our Baba Evelyn. Our memories of Baba go back to our childhood. Myself, Marley, and Harlan were fortunate to grow up on Waterloo, a short walk from 860 Elm, while the Schwartzes enjoyed many Toronto visits and spending their summers in Winnipeg. Of course, all cooked out of her kitchen decorated with cows. 860 Elm Street with Baba and Zeta was where so many of our fundamental childhood memories were made. We spent many Shabbat dinners there where Baba's meatballs, with a side of Jell-O, filled our tummies, and big family barbecues in the summer when our cousins came to visit. The basement with Harry's bar was the perfect place to play restaurant, and Baba and Zeta were our favorite customers. And of course, spending summers at the cottage in West. As we grew older, Baba took a keen interest in our scholastic, professional, and personal accomplishments. When we moved to Toronto to settle down, Baba chose to join us, even though at that point in her life, a move to a new and bigger city was not going to be easy. However, being close to family was always important to her, and we were so fortunate to be able to continue our traditions with Baba in Toronto with our cousins. McDonald's breakfasts, Boston pizza, lunches at United's, and celebrating all of the holidays together. Baba was the life of the party, and Asher, Max, Maya, Madison, Benson, and Oliver were extremely lucky to have met their great-grandmother, and the legacy of their great-grandparents will live in each one of them. We all know the end for Baba wasn't easy, for her and for us, but we can take comfort in knowing that she's in a better place. Reunited with Zeta Harry, Baba Muriel, and Zeta Jaime, and a multitude of friends and relatives that touched her life in so many ways. We love you, Baba.
When we were in the car talking to her, we always played categories in the rhyming game. She was so good at coming up with answers and rhyming words.
She played baseball in the park with us and hockey in the garage. She was really good. Baba loved to come watch us play baseball and softball and come to the hockey rink to watch us skate.
It was so much fun at the cottage when she lay on our bed and read. I was in The Wizard of Oz, and I would sing the songs to her over the phone. Baba loved singing with me, and she knew all the songs.
Of course, we loved all the food Baba made for us. Her meatballs were the best, and she was everything about Baba.
She was the best Baba ever. We love you, Baba.
Thank you so much. And let us all say Amen. I'm going to continue now with the memorial prayer. The El Malel Rahamim, please rise. El Malel Rahamim, Shohen HaShechina, V'ma'alot Kedoshim, Kedoshim Uteorim, Kezoyer Rakim, Ava, Vat Chaim HaKoim uMinyam, She'alecha le'olama, בעבור שאנו מתפללים מנוחתה לכם בלרחמים יעשתי ראיה וסדר כנה אבב לעולמים על משכבה ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, in peace. And let us all say Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we're going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Shel Cemetery, located in the corner of Main Street and Armstrong Avenue. There we are going to proceed with the burial and the recitation of the mourner's Kaddish. Immediately after, everybody is invited to participate in the meal of consolation at 139 Tuxedo Avenue. Right at 139 Tuxedo Avenue at 7 p.m. And also right at 7, right at the beginning of the Shiva, the family will be davening the service and recite Kaddish. And now we are going to transition to the next stage, which is to accompany the coffin to the hearse and then to go to the cemetery, where funeral caravans can go through red lights are over. And even if you can get rid of that ticket, you don't want to go to downtown. So please remember to stop at red lights and stop signs along the way. I would like to invite now everyone to rise. Pallbearers are going to assume their place alongside the coffin. Thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you all of you online for tuning in.